Have you ever asked yourself, why do I keep attracting the same kind of painful relationships no matter how much I give or how hard I try? If so, you're not alone. What if the problem isn't with the world, but with something hidden deep inside you? In this video, we're going to explore one of Carl Jung's most powerful teachings, how the love you seek is always a mirror of the love you give yourself. If you're tired of begging for attention, if you're emotionally exhausted from giving more than you receive, and if you're done settling for relationships that drain you, then you need to hear this. We'll uncover why your energy is sacred, why your patterns repeat until you heal, and how your subconscious may be sabotaging your happiness. But more importantly, you'll learn the exact moment your life starts to shift and how to become magnetic, not by chasing love, but by becoming it. If you've ever felt invisible, unloved, or not enough, this video will change how you see yourself forever. Stay with me until the end, because the transformation you're craving doesn't begin with someone else. It begins with you. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. One of the most heartbreaking and yet common mistakes we make in life is believing that love is about finding someone who completes us, as if we are somehow broken or incomplete until another person comes along to fix us. I used to believe that too. That one day, someone would arrive and fill all the lonely spaces inside of me. But I've come to learn, painfully and beautifully, that real love, mature, soul-deep love, is not about completing each other. It's about sharing completeness. True love is when two whole people walk side by side, not leaning on each other to stay upright, but supporting each other in strength. It's not about needing someone to make you feel worthy or whole. It's about knowing your worth and offering that fullness to another human being, not out of desperation, but from a place of abundance. That is the difference between relationships that drain your soul and those that breathe life into you. In one, you feel like you're constantly overextending yourself, always giving more, always trying harder, always bending to be enough. You end up exhausted, emotionally wrung out, and quietly dying inside while hoping they'll finally notice or appreciate you. But in the other kind of love, the rare, sacred kind, you are simply allowed to be. There's no begging, no proving, no striving, just presence, just connection, just peace. And if you've ever been in that first kind of relationship where you're carrying all the emotional weight, constantly shrinking yourself just to keep someone else comfortable, I want you to pause right now and ask yourself something honest and raw. What part of me is allowing this to happen? Because here's the truth. We often try to avoid. No one can make you feel unworthy without your consent. No one can continuously hurt you unless you ignore your intuition, your boundaries, and your red flags. But why do we do it? Why do we stay in relationships that make us feel small, invisible, and unloved? It's not because we're blind to the truth. Deep down, we know. We feel it in the pit of our stomachs. We cry over it late at night. We feel the emptiness creeping in. We stay because we're afraid of being alone, afraid we won't find anything better, afraid that letting go means failure or abandonment. But the real question, the one that changes everything, is this: are you choosing from love or are you choosing from fear? Because the moment you start choosing from self-love, authentic, unwavering self-love, everything begins to change. You stop accepting emotional crumbs as if they were a feast. You stop trying to convince people of your worth. You stop settling for half-hearted affection and one-sided effort. Why? Because you finally understand, not just intellectually but emotionally, that your energy is sacred. Your light is not meant to be dimmed by people who are too blind to see it. And when you reach that understanding, when you reclaim your light, something extraordinary begins to happen. Jung called it synchronicity, those seemingly magical moments when the universe starts aligning in ways that almost feel too perfect to be real. But it's not magic. It's the natural outcome of your frequency changing. It's the universe responding to your new vibration. It's life reflecting the truth you finally dared to believe, that you are enough, that you are worthy, that you deserve better. But to get there, you must walk through the fire of transformation. You have to confront the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. You have to face the wounds that still bleed quietly beneath the surface. The fears, the insecurities, the patterns that keep pulling you into the same heartbreak again and again. And let's be real, it's hard. Healing means releasing control. It means letting go of what's comfortable, even when that comfort is laced with pain. It means trusting that what you're walking away from was never truly meant for you, and that what is meant for you will never require force or compromise. This is where many people stumble. They say they've let go, but in their hearts, they're still waiting for that person to come back. They say they've chosen themselves, but deep down, they're still hoping to be chosen by someone else. But the universe doesn't respond to our words. It responds to our energy, to our beliefs, to the silent truths we carry within. So, when you truly love yourself, when you finally make the decision to protect your peace, honor your worth, and guard your energy, everything begins to shift. You no longer settle for fragments of affection. You no longer engage in relationships that deplete you. You no longer confuse pain with passion or chaos with chemistry. Because now you know, love is not about sacrifice. Love is about sharing. True love doesn't ask you to shrink. It asks you to shine. It doesn't require you to perform. It invites you to rest. And the right person, the person aligned with your truth, will never have to be convinced of your value. They'll see it immediately. They'll recognize it because they, too, have done the work to see their own. And when that kind of love arrives, it won't feel like a high you're chasing. It will feel like home, like peace, like truth. That's the power of self-love. That's what Jung meant by individuation, a process of becoming who you were always meant to be. This isn't a luxury. This is survival. This is freedom. Self-love is not something you do occasionally. It is a non-negotiable necessity. And once you choose it fully, your entire reality shifts. The life you've been waiting for begins the moment you stop waiting to be chosen and finally, beautifully, choose yourself. Only when you dare to embrace every part of yourself, including the broken, the bruised, the rejected, the hidden, and the hurting, can you begin to attract relationships that mirror your true worth. Not the version of you that masks the pain with a smile, not the version that pretends to be fine when you're falling apart inside, but the real you, the raw, radiant, deeply feeling soul that's been buried under years of fear, silence, and self-doubt. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. It's easy to say I love myself when life is going smoothly, when your confidence is unshaken, when you're being celebrated and seen. But let's be honest, real self-love isn't forged in comfort. It's tested in chaos. It's born when everything around you crumbles. When someone you thought would never leave does. When the love you gave so freely is met with indifference. When you're left sitting alone, face to face, with nothing but your thoughts and your fears. That's when the truth rises. That's when you discover whether you truly love yourself or if you've just been using others to distract from your emptiness. Many people collapse under the weight of rejection. They take it personally. They treat it like a final verdict. You're not good enough. You'll never be enough. And in that desperation, they cling to what has already been left, not out of love, but out of fear, fear of the unknown, fear of being alone, fear of never finding someone else. But what if the unknown isn't a void to fear? What if it's the beginning of your real story? What if it's the sacred space where your true destiny is quietly waiting? Carl Jung taught us something deeply liberating. The shadow is not our enemy, it's our teacher. The parts of you that you've rejected, repressed, and buried aren't signs of failure, they are invitations. They are the bruised doorways to a deeper transformation. If you've ever asked, why do I keep attracting the same kind of people? Why do I keep ending up in the same painful patterns over and over again? The answer is not outside of you. It never was. It's not bad luck. It's not a curse. It's your soul screaming to be seen. Your unconscious is gently, or sometimes painfully, begging you to notice what still needs healing. It's showing you the pattern again and again, not to punish you, but to wake you up, to pull you into awareness, so that finally you can break the cycle. Because the truth is, if you ignore the lesson, life will keep repeating it. It may change the face, change the place, change the script surface, but the core storyline will stay the same until you make a new choice. Until you stop blaming others and start looking within. Self-love is not just bubble baths and saying no to toxic people. It's sitting with your deepest wounds and asking, why did I ever believe I wasn't enough? It's daring to ask, why did I let the world, the culture, and the people I loved convince me that I had to earn love, rather than realize I was born with it? To truly love yourself is to return to the very source of those wounds, to the first time you felt unworthy, unlovable, and unseen. And to say to that part of you, I see you now, I will no longer abandon you. It's not glamorous. It's not always pretty. It's uncomfortable. It's messy. And it will stretch every part of your being. Because true healing asks you to stop looking for validation in the eyes of others, and instead start giving yourself the love you've always begged the world to give you. But when you do that, when you start treating yourself with the same tenderness, patience, and reverence that you've spent your life giving away to others, everything begins to shift. The people who were only in your life because they fed off your self-doubt will begin to disappear. Not because you push them away, but because they no longer resonate with the vibration of someone who has remembered their worth. The frequency you emit when you love yourself is powerful. It's protective. It's magnetic. And anything that's not aligned with that, whether it's a person, a pattern, or a past version of you, will begin to fall away. Because love, real love, cannot survive in an environment of lack. It cannot blossom in the soil of fear. It needs space. It needs truth. And it needs you, all of you, to show up unhidden and whole. And then, almost without warning, you begin to notice something shifting quietly at first, like a whisper in the soul. The people who now appear in your life feel different. They don't take from you. They don't question your worth. And they don't need convincing to see your value. They reflect the love you finally started giving yourself. They meet you not in your wounds, not in your fears, but in your strength, in your light, in your truth. And this, right here, is where Carl Jung's most powerful concept takes root: synchronicity. It's not that the universe suddenly starts handing you blessings as some kind of cosmic reward for finally choosing yourself. No, it's that when you heal, your vibration changes. And when your vibration changes, so do the people, the experiences, the opportunities. Everything you once chased starts chasing you. The love that used to feel like a distant fantasy, the kind you used to beg for, now begins arriving effortlessly, beautifully, peacefully. Because for the first time, you've become the embodiment of what you've always longed for. You are no longer a seeker of worth, you are the source of it. But here's the most important question of all. Are you ready to let go of what no longer belongs to you? Are you ready to stop waiting for someone else to see your value? And finally recognize it for yourself. Because the truth, no matter how much we try to avoid it, has always lived within us. It was never about them, not about the one who walked away, not about the love that didn't last, not even about the rejection that shattered your heart. It was always about you. And the moment you fully grasp that, when you stop needing validation, when you stop fearing solitude. When you choose yourself with unwavering devotion, life can only respond in one way, with alignment, because awakened souls don't chase love. They become love. They radiate it, and they attract only what mirrors that frequency. Carl Jung once said, "What you most need will be found where you least want to look." And isn't that the hardest part? Not just in love, but in life itself. Because the real block isn't the people who hurt you. It's not the missed chances, or the silence, or the endings. The real obstacle is the part of you that still resists seeing your own, the unhealed corners of your soul. You've buried under smiles, distractions, and pleasing others. If you've ever been in a relationship that left you feeling more depleted than nourished, if you've ever given and given only to receive fragments in return, if you've ever felt unseen, unheard, or unchosen by someone who should have loved you fully, then hear this clearly. It is not your job to convince anyone to love you. You are not here to audition for affection or perform for acceptance. You are here to be whole, radiant, and unapologetically enough. But here's where it gets tricky. The greatest barrier to stepping into that power? The fear of letting go. We hold on, even when it hurts, because we've made the familiar our comfort zone. We'd rather cling to the pain we know than face the vast, sacred silence of the unknown. But what we forget is that the silence we fear is where our true healing lives. It's not punishment. It's not abandonment. It's a portal, a rebirth, a homecoming. When you finally sit in that silence without distractions, without begging, without performing, something divine begins to awaken. You begin to feel the power of your presence. You realize the peace you searched for in others was inside you all along. And from that place, something shifts. You no longer accept half-hearted connections. You no longer give your time, energy, or soul to people who don't honor it. Because now, the love you offer comes from fullness, not from need. And that's when life responds differently. You stop chasing. You stop begging for crumbs at tables where you were never meant to sit. You start aligning with ease, with grace, with certainty. Love stops being about fear of abandonment, fear of not being enough. It becomes about joy, about presence, about sacred, mutual connection. You're no longer caught in loops of control or manipulation. You no longer hold on to what doesn't flow. People who once felt essential begin to fade, not because you stopped loving them, but because you grew, you evolved, and their chapter in your story came to a gentle, necessary end. And now, you understand something you once couldn't accept. Endings aren't always failures. Sometimes, they are the answers to the prayers your soul whispered when you couldn't speak. There is a profound difference between wanting something and being ready to receive it. And you, beautiful soul, are ready now. You might crave a healthy relationship, one where you feel seen, heard, respected, and loved. But if deep down, beneath the surface of your wants, there's a lingering belief that you're not worthy of that kind of love, it won't come. Not because you don't deserve it, but because you won't recognize it. Because you'll either push it away or sabotage it the very moment it tries to enter your life. You might long for deep, soul-nourishing, unconditional love, the kind that feels like home. But if your inner wounds are still bleeding, if they remain unacknowledged and unhealed, you'll treat that love with suspicion. You'll question it. You'll shrink around it. And in the end, you'll unconsciously destroy it, not because you wanted to, but because a wounded heart doesn't know how to receive what it doesn't believe it deserves. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Because here's the truth. Most people don't want to admit. Life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you're ready to hold, what you're energetically aligned with. It reflects back the truth of what you believe you deserve, not the wish you say aloud, but the unspoken belief you carry within. So if you've ever found yourself stuck in the same painful cycle, if you've asked yourself again and again, why doesn't anything change? Why do I keep ending up in the same relationships, the same heartbreak, the same emptiness? The answer isn't in the people you attract. The answer lives within you. It's not a punishment. It's not bad karma. It's your soul's gentle, persistent way of saying, there's still something here you need to heal, something you're afraid to see. And the day you decide to finally let go, to release what no longer feels like truth, to choose peace over fear, authenticity over approval, that is the day everything begins to transform. Because the love you've been seeking, the wholeness you've been chasing, the life you dream of living, they've been waiting right there, patiently, inside of you, not outside, not in another person, not in someone choosing you, but in you choosing yourself. Life isn't about chasing after what you think you lack. It's about becoming the version of yourself who no longer needs to chase, the version that simply attracts what aligns with their truth. But if you continue to hold on to what hurts, if you insist on staying in relationships that leave you feeling empty, anxious, or unseen, you're sending a message to the universe, a message far more powerful than your words. You're saying, this is what I believe I deserve, even if your heart longs for more. And that's the hard part. Because of that message, it isn't verbal. It's quiet. It's buried in your actions. It's hidden in the decisions you make behind closed doors. It's encoded in the way you choose to stay, even when every part of your soul is begging you to leave. It's in every moment you give your love to someone who doesn't value it, every time you ignore your gut, every time you betray yourself in the name of hope, loyalty, or fear of being alone. And with every silent choice, you reinforce a belief that you can't have better, that you don't deserve better. But here's the most empowering truth you'll ever hear. You may not be able to control how others treat you, but you get to decide who has access to you. You choose who gets your energy. You decide where your time, your love, your light goes. You have the power to let go of what no longer serves your growth. And in that act, in that sacred, terrifying, liberating act, you reclaim your freedom. That's the moment of awakening. The moment you stop begging, stop shrinking, stop tolerating, and instead, you begin to rise. You become magnetic. Not because you're searching for love, but because you become love. You no longer run toward happiness in desperation. You stand still, and happiness runs toward you. The journey back to yourself isn't glamorous. It's not neat. It's raw, messy, and often lonely. But oh, it is so worth it. Because in finding yourself, you stop needing someone else to complete you. You stop giving your light to those who are blind to it. You remember that you were never broken. You were simply buried beneath years of fear, shame, expectation, and false beliefs. And once you remember who you are, truly and deeply, you can never again forget your worth. And the life you used to only imagine finally becomes the life you wake up to. Carl Jung once said that destiny isn't something written in the stars. It's something we shape moment by moment through the choices we make. And in love, nothing could be more true. If you keep attracting the same kind of people, if the same painful stories keep unfolding in different clothing, it's not bad luck. It's not a cruel joke. It's your unconscious mind projecting its wounds onto your reality. Nothing outside of you can shift until something inside of you does. The truth is, the right people won't arrive when you're desperate. They won't appear when you're still hoping they'll save you. They come when you've learned how to save yourself. They come when you're no longer waiting to be chosen, because you've already chosen you. When you stop begging for love or validation. When you no longer confuse romantic attention with self-worth. When you realize that the deepest abundance doesn't come from being desired by many, but from needing no one to feel whole, that's when everything begins to align. That's when the universe finally responds. Not because it suddenly approves of you, but because you finally approve of yourself. When you finally reach that sacred level of self-awareness, when you no longer just know your worth in your mind, but feel it deep in your bones, everything begins to shift. You no longer chase alignment, you become it. The chaos around you starts to dissolve. The drama that used to pull you in loses its power. The people who were only in your life for their convenience, those who needed your light but never respected its source, begin to quietly disappear, not because you forced them out, but because your energy no longer matches theirs. And suddenly, opportunities that once felt like distant dreams begin to flow to you, not because the world changed, but because you did. Because your energy, your essence, your frequency evolved. Here's the truth. Energy doesn't lie. You can speak affirmations all day. You can post quotes about self-love and boundaries. But if you continue to tolerate what doesn't serve your growth, if you keep letting half-hearted love into your sacred space, then the universe will mirror that contradiction right back to you. You'll keep receiving confusion, emotional crumbs, and empty promises, not because you deserve them, but because that's the level you've settled for. The outer world is always reflecting your inner beliefs. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment on number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. That's why so many people feel like love is a never-ending battle. They feel invisible, unheard, like they have to fight to be loved. They give everything: time, energy, heart, soul, and get almost nothing in return. But that's not bad luck. It's not fate. It's a pattern. Patterns are like shadows. They follow you until you turn around, look them in the eye, and choose differently. Everything changes the moment you stop begging for love. The moment you reclaim your energy. The moment you say, "I am scared, and not everyone gets access to me." That's the moment your entire life begins to transform. When you truly, unapologetically love yourself, you don't need to prove anything. You no longer chase people hoping they'll finally see your worth. You don't cling to anyone who walks away. You don't perform, persuade, or plead. You just are. You radiate. You stand firmly in your light. And only those who are aligned with your truth, your integrity, and your heart will stay. But here's the hard part, the part most people run from. When you step into your truth, everything that isn't aligned with it starts to fall apart. And that can feel terrifying. It might feel like you're losing everything: people, routines, relationships, comfort. It might feel like the universe is stripping you bare. But Jung said something profoundly honest. Chaos is not the end. Chaos is the beginning. Before something new can be born, the old must die. The outdated beliefs, the trauma-driven choices, the relationships are rooted in fear. The version of you that thought you had to earn love by sacrificing yourself. And this is where most people resist. They panic in the void. Because the mind, it fears emptiness. It fears the unknown. It fears letting go before knowing what comes next. But growth doesn't come with guarantees. It comes with surrender. Only when you let go fully, without fear, does space open up. Space for what's real, what's healthy, what's worthy of who you are now. Love, in its truest form, isn't a war. It's not a reward. It's not something you earn by proving you're enough. Real love just is. If you constantly feel the need to fight for someone's attention, if you're forcing something to work, if you have to convince someone to care, that's not love. That's fear. That's emotional survival. That's attachment dressed in desperation. And it's not sustainable. The relationships are meant to stay in your life. They flow. They feel safe. They feel real. They don't make you question your worth. They don't drag you through emotional roller coasters. They don't leave you guessing. So if you're constantly proving, performing, or pushing, pause and ask yourself the question that can shatter illusions. Am I choosing this out of love or out of fear? Am I staying because it feels right or because I'm scared of what comes after? Far too many people confuse love with dependence. They think staying in a relationship that drains them is loyalty. They think enduring pain is a sign of strength. They think their loneliness is more terrifying than their emptiness. But here's the sacred paradox. Freedom is the foundation of real love. Only when you're free to choose, without guilt, without fear, without bleeding wounds, can you love purely. Love chosen from wholeness is powerful. Love chosen from need is painful. So if you want a love that heals, love that expands, love that empowers, you have to start with you. Your healing, your freedom, your truth. And when you become free enough to walk away from anything that dishonors your soul, that's when love finds you. And not just any love, a love that matches your light. When you truly begin to love yourself, when your inner peace becomes non-negotiable, your sacred ground, your top priority, everything starts to shift. You stop tolerating the things you used to accept without question, not because you feel superior, not because you think you're better than anyone else, but because you finally understand deep in your bones that love was never meant to be begged for. Love isn't something to be earned through suffering. It's not a chase. It's not a test. It's not a reward for proving your worth. Love is felt. Love is lived. Love is freely given and effortlessly received. It flows where there is truth. It breathes where there is peace. And that's when life begins to astonish you. That's when the world starts to rearrange itself around your new vibration. When you stop settling, when you stop searching, when you stop trying to find in others what has always lived inside of you, that's when the universe responds, not randomly, but divinely. It realigns everything to meet the frequency you now carry. And the right people begin to appear. Not because they didn't exist before, but because you've finally raised your standards high enough to see them. You no longer mistake chaos for connection. You no longer chase people who breadcrumb your heart, who drain your soul, who only show up halfway. Because now, in the quiet places of your heart, you know you deserve better. And not just better, but real. The kind of love that sees you, the kind that holds your light, not out of fear, but with reverence. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment on number 4 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. The love you spent years searching for in someone else was always waiting for you to come home to yourself. So many people get lost in toxic relationships because they haven't yet learned how to love themselves enough to choose better. They confuse intensity for intimacy. They confuse being needed with being cherished. But the moment you take that first sacred step towards self-honoring, the moment you say, "My peace matters more than your approval," that's the moment the magic begins. Because now you're no longer attracted to emptiness. You're no longer hoping someone else will fill your cracks. You've learned to pour into your cup, to tend to your soul, to sit with yourself and feel whole. And just when you stop searching, just when you let go, just when the fear and anxiety begin to dissolve like mist in the morning sun, that's when real love arrives. Not as something you chase, not as someone to fix you, not as a grand rescue, but as something that was always meant to meet you here. Right here, at the threshold of your return. When you decide that your joy is sacred, when you make your self-respect unshakable, when you declare that you are no longer available for anything less than honesty, alignment, and reverence, the world you once knew begins to shift. You stop fearing the loss of people who were never truly present. You stop begging to be seen by those who were never capable of seeing you. You stop proving your worth to those who couldn't even recognize their own. And the most beautiful shift of all, you stop accepting less because now you've learned to give yourself everything you once begged for. Carl Jung said that projection is the key to understanding our reality. Everything we experience, especially in relationships, is a mirror, a reflection of our beliefs, our wounds, and our level of self-love. So when you raise that love, When you begin to treat yourself with the same tenderness, loyalty, and devotion you once gave to people who couldn't hold it, everything changes. Love stops being a power struggle. It stops being a battlefield. It stops being the source of your suffering. It becomes easy. It becomes peace. It becomes the truth. The connections that come from this space, they are rare. They are radiant. They are real. They reflect the very light you now allow yourself to embody. And that right there is the most powerful realization of all. You were never broken. You were never incomplete. You never needed rescuing. You were always enough. You just hadn't seen it. Not fully. Not until now. Self-love isn't just about walking away from people who don't value you. It's about finally remembering who you are. It's about honoring your time, your energy, your heart. It's about living your truth unapologetically, even if it means standing alone for a while. Even if it means shedding everything that was never meant to go with you. Because when you truly love yourself, when you hold your light without flinching, without dimming, without fear, only those who are ready to stand in that light with you will remain. And the rest? They'll fall away like old leaves. Not because you're heartless, but because you're finally home. So, now I want to ask you, what spoke to your soul the most today? What truth did you hear that made you pause, reflect, and maybe even feel a little emotional? You've journeyed through a powerful reminder that love doesn't begin with someone else. It begins with you. You've heard that self-love is not about ego, but about honoring your worth. That real transformation happens not when others change, but when you finally choose yourself. Now, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what is one thing you're going to do differently starting today? What is one belief, one pattern, one relationship, or even one thought you're ready to let go of to return to your peace and your truth? I invite you to share in the comments below, what did you learn from this video, and what is one thing you will bring into practice in your life starting now? Your words might be the very thing someone else needs to read today. And if this message resonated with you, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us reach more hearts who are ready to awaken and rise. Until next time, keep choosing yourself. Keep standing in your light. You are more than enough.